It was still dark when old Mr. Raymond woke up that morning. The rain had just stopped, and the streets of his quiet town were wet and shining under the streetlights. Raymond, a retired mailman, lived in a small yellow house at the corner. His only companion was Max, a brown dog with long ears and gentle eyes. They had lived together for almost 10 years. Every day Raymond and Max would walk to the bakery 2 streets down. Raymond bought a small bread roll, and Max waited outside, watching everyone who passed like a silent guard. Then they walked back slowly, sometimes stopping to greet children, waiting for their school bus. That morning felt like any other. Raymond put on his coat and hat. Max wagged his tail and trotted ahead, splashing through little puddles. But as they crossed the narrow lane behind the bakery, something unexpected happened. Raymond suddenly stopped, clutched his chest, and collapsed. The bag with the bread roll fell from his hand and rolled into the street. Max ran back and barked loudly, his voice sharp and full of panic. He circled Raymond, pawed at his jacket, and howled. A passing cyclist heard the noise and came running. He saw the old man lying on the ground, barely moving, and quickly called an ambulance. When the paramedics arrived, Max growled and stood in front of Raymond. He didn't bite, but his message was clear. "Don't touch my human." One of the medics bent down and slowly offered Max a piece of bread from the fallen bag. "It's okay, buddy," he whispered. "We're going to help him." Max didn't move for a second. Then slowly, he stepped aside, ears flat, eyes still locked on Raymond. They lifted Raymond into the stretcher and wheeled him into the ambulance. As soon as the doors shut and the siren started, Max ran. He chased the ambulance down the wet road, dodging bikes, jumping over puddles, slipping once but getting back, up fast. People stared from the sidewalks. One woman tried to grab his collar, but Max pulled free. He didn't bark. He didn't look scared. He just ran, fast and focused, eyes on the flashing lights ahead. Inside the ambulance, a young doctor named Nina looked through the small back window. "That dog," she said, pointing. The driver slowed. Nina opened the back door at a red light. There was Max, soaked to the skin, panting hard, his tail still and eyes wide. "Should we let him in?" the driver asked. Nina didn't answer. She simply stepped aside. Max jumped in and curled up near Raymond's feet. He didn't make a sound. At the hospital, Max followed closely as Raymond was taken to the emergency room. The security guard tried to stop him, but Nina stepped in. "He's with the patient," she said calmly. Max waited in the hallway, curled under a bench, quiet as a shadow. Hours passed. Nurses walked around him. Some patted his head. No one had the heart to move him. That night, Raymond was moved to a recovery room. He was breathing, on his own but still unconscious. Max was allowed inside for a moment. He sat at the edge of the bed, head resting on the sheets. A nurse snapped a picture. That photo, a tired old dog guarding his human in a quiet hospital room, was shared online by one of the staff. Within hours, it was everywhere. People from all over the world left comments. "This is love. This made me cry. Dogs are angels we don't deserve." The hospital got calls. People sent food, blankets, toys for Max. One stranger even paid for all of Raymond's medical bills. Another sent a gift, a dog bed with Raymond and Max's name stitched into it. 3 days later, Raymond opened his eyes. His voice was weak, but his words were clear. "Where's Max?" Nina, standing nearby, smiled. She opened the door. Max trotted in slowly. When he reached the bed, he let out a low whine and pressed his face into Raymond's chest. "You found me," Raymond whispered. A week passed. Raymond could sit up now, his heart stronger but his step still weak. The hospital arranged a small wheelchair for him and allowed Max to visit every day. Every time Raymond was wheeled into the garden, Max walked beside him, tail brushing the wheels, eyes scanning the path like a soldier on guard. One evening, Nina sat beside Raymond and said, "Do you know how many people watched your story?" "No," Raymond replied. "Millions," she said. "They all cried with Max." Raymond chuckled softly. "He's always been the emotional one." Finally, The day came when Raymond could go home. The hospital staff lined up at the gate to say goodbye. Max jumped into the back seat of the taxi first, then waited as Raymond was helped in. Weeks later, on a sunny afternoon, Raymond and Max sat on a wooden bench near the bakery. Raymond had a walking stick now. Max sat close, his head resting on Raymond's knee. They didn't talk. They didn't need to. Because sometimes love doesn't come with big words or loud gestures. Sometimes it runs silently through rain and traffic, chasing the one it refuses to lose. And sometimes, a quiet dog's loyalty becomes the loudest thing the world hears.